Hello, everyone, and welcome to AWCI's webinar, Lessons Learned from AWCI's Peer Safety Reviews. My name is Tao Wen, AWCI's Education Program Manager. Before we start, a few housekeeping items. All attendees should be on mute during today's presentation. And should you have a question at any time during the broadcast, please submit it using the question box in your GoToWebinar dashboard, just like what's on the screen right now. At this time, it's my pleasure to introduce AWCI's Director of Technical Services, Don Allen. Although Don's background is a structural engineer specializing in steel framing, for the past 9 months, Don has been providing staff support for AWCI's safety initiatives, including the Safety Directors Committee and the Peer Safety Reviews. Don will introduce today's panelists and moderate our discussion. So handing it off to you, Don.
Thank you very much, Tao, and welcome everyone to our Peer Safety Review webinar. What are some of the lessons we have learned? Before we start, I want to talk about a couple of items that to a certain degree have a little bit to do with safety. First of all, our annual convention, Build 24, which will start on March 24th, and on March 25th, the second day of the expo, there will be a Safety Directors Committee meeting, which will be from 9 to 10 a.m. on Monday the 25th. So if you are in the area or just want to see what the safety directors at AWCI are doing, that's March 25th, 2024. I hope to see most of you there from 9 to 10 a.m. And also that same day on March 25th from 6:30 to 9:30 p.m. is our awards dinner. And at the awards dinner will be when we're giving out our 2024 Excellence in Construction Safety Awards. And nominations are open now. The QR code on the screen will take you to the nominations page. And basically, if you've got a company, if you've got a safety program, if you've got something that you're very proud of and think that you can do well in, enter our safety awards. It's a relatively simple procedure. I know, and we've got a couple emails that you can reach out to or people on staff that can help step you through it. And we even have a little video that shows you how to do it. So I spent some time interviewing Matt Taylor. Matt is a previous award recipient. He helped develop questions that we ask on the questionnaire, on the form that you fill out, and he is one of the judges. So he gives some very nice tips on how you can fill that out. So again, the QR code on the screen will take you to that video on the AWCI YouTube channel. And I wish the best of everyone in entering our safety awards program. And again, the awards presentation on the evening of March 25th. So let's get to what today's program is about. It's about peer safety reviews. This is one of the articles that was in Construction Dimensions back in 2022. This is the team that went out to South Valley Drywall, including some of the folks from South Valley Drywall. And you can see nobody's really looking uptight. Everybody's looking happy. It's just a nice collaboration event where you get other safety professionals, people that have to deal with the same issues, the same headaches that you do, and talk about how they address those issues. How do they handle those problems? How do they protect their people and make sure that everybody goes home safe at the end of the day? And so it's just been a great learning experience, and we're going to talk about a little bit of that today. If you're not able to sit through the whole presentation, the videos of us, you've got some other resources out there, including some articles in Construction Dimensions. At the end of the presentations, we'll give you a link to those. And then a year ago, we had a very similar presentation to this, where we interviewed some of the folks involved and had a little bit of a discussion about how this impacted them. So that's what we're going to do today. So let's get started. It's a panel discussion. Again, you can type in your questions at any time using the little questions chat area. There will be no handouts. There will be no certificate at the end of this, but we will make it so that there's some notes that I'm going to take during this. Anybody wants those notes, you can email me and I'll pass it along to you. If you're having any technical issues, I really can't say anything other than log out and try logging back in again, or even since this is a free webinar, you can sign up again and log in. And let's get started. So let's introduce our panelists today. First of all, we have two people from J&J Acoustics, Rick Wood, the Superintendent Safety Manager, and Fabio Carrera, the Safety Coordinator. We have Sabrina Smith, the risk manager from the Raymond Group, Jared Danstrom, the safety director from Daly's Drywall and Taping, George Vasquez, the director of safety from Merrick, and Pete Salazar, the risk manager from South Valley Drywall. Adam Linhart, the safety director from E&K Company. All of these people, all of these folks have been involved in one way or another in at least one of the two peer safety reviews that we've had this year. The top row, Rick, Fabio, and Sabrina, they were hosts to at least one of the peer safety reviews. J&J hosted the first one, and the Raymond Group hosted our second one. And then Jared, George, Pete, and Adam were all part of one of the safety review teams this year, although Jared and Pete had their peer safety reviews done at their facilities in previous years. So they can all talk from both sides of what it's like being involved in these peer safety reviews. So I have some prepared questions, but a lot of this is just going to be back and forth talking about what happened and what some of the good things that came out of it and what are some of the things that they learned that they can do. So I'm going to start with J&J for Rick and Fabio. How did the process begin, and why did the owner CEO agree to have the team come and review?
So I'll start first. Fabio are in the same room, so he can take over when I'm done. So we basically, it started back in 2018. We used to outsource our safety, and we decided that we needed to bring it in-house so that we could give it some more support. And I'm the superintendent, and we brought Fabio in, and so that he had the support from some leadership. I was going to help him. And what we decided too was that, hey, we're going to need outside help too from other organizations. So Northern California has a drywall association, the Wall and Ceiling Alliance, and they had started a safety committee. So we went to it, and that's where we met Jared with Daly's, and Jared had talked about his adventure with this peer review group, and he brought up some of the things that we definitely felt, and so that's how we initially heard of it. And then so we continued to explore it with AWCI, and then we actually listened to the webinar with Pete. And again, that made us very fearful of doing it initially, but as we heard the good experience Pete had, Bobby and I thought this is something that we definitely need to take on and have done. So we approached our upper management, our CEO, Joe Jean, and they decided at first, like, why would we bring in other companies? But once we explained everything, they embraced it. And, as we continue, you'll hear, what a great experience it was that we had. Wow.
Yeah, you pretty much touched all the bases. Yeah, so it was a great experience. I enjoyed it, having the team come out and walk with us, different perspectives, and a great experience. I definitely recommend it.
Great. Now, you said something there, and Jared, I'm going to turn to you because it sounded like to Rick, you described this as an adventure. So how was your experience?
Yes, it was an adventure. I remember when we were first talking about doing this, being a part of the AWCI Safety Committee. I was the guinea pig. I was the first, as far as I know. And I think when you are seeking to be world-class safety, hit that mark and be the best you can be for your employees, hearing from your peers and having them look at every aspect of your safety program was very attractive to me. Not sure why, because it was very extensive and meant a lot of work, a lot of prep work. But once I got the support from the president, CEO, once everyone was on board and we started prepping for this, it just became actually a really enjoyable experience because we really got a real view of how we were performing. You can think you're performing great, and maybe the numbers are kind of showing that. But when you do a deep dive into your program and you have fellow safety professionals, Rick, our companies are competitors. I can go meet Rick for lunch today in about 15 minutes. but there's no competition in safety, and we really embrace that as a committee. And when we come into your facilities, it's strictly to help you improve the performance for the betterment of your employees and company.
Now, Jared, you said something that falls to a lot of these companies that have been doing this for a long time, big companies. You think you have a good safety program, and I think that kind of ties into the Raymond Group. And Sabrina, you're here representing that group, and your boss Ed Hanley, who's been very active in our safety committee, has said this. He said we've got a good program. But then why is it that Raymond wanted to bring people in for peer safety review to look at what you already thought was a good program?
Yeah, thank you. Well, continuous improvement is truly a core value here at Raymond. We're really proud of our safety record, but we're always looking for ways to improve, our current processes and procedures. We felt that the peer safety review would be a great way to get some feedback on areas that we can improve on.
And just a follow-up question to that is, having seen the peer safety review from both sides, both as initially as a reviewer and later as a reviewee, how do you feel about the overall effectiveness? And did it give you what you wanted to get out of it?
It did. I think being on both sides, you kind of see what other companies are doing. It's a great way to actually meet other safety professionals. So that was kind of my big takeaway, with interacting with everybody and getting to meet other people in the same field.
Nice. So, and by the way, if anyone else wants to chime in on any of these questions, that's fine. I know I've kind of targeted my questions towards specific individuals, but that being said, I want to ask Adam, because you were at our latest peer safety review here. How did you justify to your boss letting you go all the way out to California to do a peer safety review coming from the Midwest?
Well, it's actually pretty easy to sell.
I love it.
It would benefit us. That was, I'm going to learn from the pros in the business, and an opportunity to look at, one of our, I want to say, another especially contractor like us, and see what they're doing and take that back to our company. So it didn't cost anything other than time. So
That's great. And your time, which is certainly valuable. So speaking of time, George, I think you've been involved with almost every single one of our peer safety reviews, and we really appreciate your input. But what are some lessons that you've learned, and some things that you've brought back and shared with your team?
I think it's like I always emphasize when we have these meetings, it's so wonderful to know that, time to time, a company that puts so much effort into having a safety program, sometimes the way Jared explained it, you might ask some consultants, or maybe if you're a member of a chapter, to get their input, to see how you're doing as a company. But when you get involved with this peer group from the AWCI, you're getting the whole industry at your doorstep. That's the mind-blowing thing about it. You can't compare it, because imagine if you start a business like a gas station, and all of a sudden you get all the big players from around the country in the oil industry at your company, helping you out in some of the things that you've been trying out, and you wonder how your company's performing. This is a whole industry. You got experts from all over the nation, different markets, different states, different, local, safety regulations coming to your place and looking at what you're doing. One, you can verify that, nobody's just blowing smoke telling you're doing great. This is somebody looking and saying, hey, this is good you have going on here. You can now test it and see it. And you can also see what some of the things you might end up thinking, I want to do that, but I wonder if other companies are doing the same thing. You get to now relax and be shoulder to shoulder with a bunch of safety professionals from all areas into risk management, telling you, hey, this is good. We tried that. Here's some of our failures. Here's some of our wins. And you get that right at your doorstep, versus just getting a consultant that is just giving you a standard compliance view, right? I'm not saying there's nothing wrong with getting those, but when you have the opportunity to have the industry walk to your business and give you a risk management, view along with you, not to criticize, not to give you a score, not to kind of do a safety inspection, but to be one peer with you, shoulder to shoulder, looking at things, how to make your company better. I mean, this is wonderful. It's just, you're missing out, like I said before, if you're not being part of it, learning, and also thinking about how can I make it better for my employees, for my business, industry-wise.
All right, good. Pete, I know that Rick mentioned that he watched this video a year ago where you were talking about your peer safety review. You went in a little concerned and scared. It's all over. It's all behind you now. And since then, you've been on another peer safety review, the one at the Raymond Group. What are some things that you learned from that, and how did you see it differently because you had reviewers at your location?
Well, good morning, everybody. Good afternoon. Well, I was really looking forward to it because when I first met Ed and Matt was back in 2018 at an AWCI in Orlando. And at the time, Ed's company had won the one of the safety awards. And I'm thinking to myself, what can I do? What do I need to do to so we can be that company? And when the opportunity came to that Raymond opened up their doors, and I was offered to be part of the committee, I was looking forward to it because it gave me the opportunity to actually walk and be on site to see what their company and how their culture was established that got them to where they were at back in 2018 and throughout the years. And I think it's something that I really wanted to learn from that and take some of the stuff that they are currently doing and come back and try to implement that for our company as well, and assist our employees in being, the best that they can. And when I was there, I was like, it was exactly what I envisioned. It's like these guys have the program in place. They've got everything that all the boxes are checked, but there's still some things that we may feel like we're on top of the world, that we have everything in place. But in reality, do we really? And that's one of the things that Ed says, like, guys, this is the reason I welcome you guys in, because I don't know what I have. I need somebody else, from a different perspective to give me an insight of exactly what we need to do to continue the trend. And I think it was a really good experience, and I really valued the opportunity to step foot onto their sites and learn what they have to offer their employees. And and talking to their guys out in the field, they've got a lot of respect, and they really have the culture that is in place that sets the tone that, hey, we're here to get the job done, but we're here to get the job done safely, and this is how we do it. And talking to all the guys on the sites that we walked, it goes to show, it was like it wasn't something like it was scripted. It really came from within the individual's heart, and I take that with a lot of respect, and hopefully what was shared with us from them, I can take bits and pieces and implement it into our program as well.
No, that is so good. And I tell you that something I want to ask all of you, and whoever wants to speak first, that's fine. I'm not going to direct this to any individual, but having been involved in the safety review process, some of you from both sides, some of you just from one side, what are some of your takeaways? What are some of the lessons learned that either you have started to implement at your own company, or you want to start to implement, but you're not quite there yet? Just some of the things that you think was really meaningful to you that you picked up at one of these peer safety reviews.
I'll answer that right away. You hit it with the first two words that you said, lessons learned. Raymond has that where they don't consider it a near miss, it's a lesson learned. A lot of these guys are afraid to report near misses because they're afraid of getting in trouble. But if you change the way you describe it to a lessons learned, I think you get more participation from all your employees. It's like, hey, this happened, let's learn from it, and let's how can we improve on that? And not just, oh, it's near miss, it's near miss. No, it's a lessons learned. Pretty much that's what it is. It's a lessons learned. Because near misses, you identify what was why was the root cause of it? What are you going to do to prevent that from reoccurring? So you're learning. It's a lessons learned. And pretty much that's what I like about Raymond, how they changed that near miss title to a lessons learned.
And I'll touch on that a little bit. Pete, since changing the name to, I think we call it a safety lesson, we've seen the increase in reporting of those near misses or safety lessons significantly. I don't have the numbers in front of me, but I mean, it was quadrupled from what it was before.
I could talk down. Basically, when you do you decide to do it, it starts the minute AWCI says we're going to come visit you guys. So right away, the word gets out and it changes the whole atmosphere of everybody's attitude. And they all, now we're like, what can we do to be safer and make sure we're prepared for you guys to visit? So right away, you're getting benefits. And then some of the stuff that they come and spend 3 days with you. And that very first day, you send them a lot of your documents. And the first day, we go through everything. So you're really transparent with all your information. And once they've seen everything that you present and see your job sites, they'll come out and then they do a really nice presentation at the end of all that they've seen. And it's all, and they present it in a positive way. So, even if there was something that we needed to work on, it was presented in a positive way. And so we've taken that and we continue to work on that. We've upgraded our safety orientation to some of the things that they had recommended. Then they also, we reached out to a lot of them that came to ours and asked for help, and they gave us some documentation and just advice over the phone. And so it's continuing from the very beginning to now, and it's just, it's just a great program.
And I want
Just
to
add to
follow up
that.
on something that you just said there on reaching out. And I apologize, but the network is part of the value you get out of it. You've got the emails, you got the phone numbers, you've got the personal relationship. As you can see from the pictures, we weren't running around just like a bunch of inspectors. We went to dinner, we had lunches with them, we played games in one respect with them. So it's kind of neat. So you've built your network of safety people that you can go out and go to, and that's really good that Rick has taken advantage of that, and Fabio, and reached out and helped them build their program. So I'm sorry to whoever I was just interrupting.
No problem. I was just going to add that for me, I was just so happy to receive the support from the group. I don't know if anyone is aware of this, but at times safety people struggle to get support for their initiative, and we're reminded at times that we don't necessarily bring in money to the company, and everything we want to do costs something. But when we have a peer review and when they met with the executives and really gave them, hey, this is what you need to give Jared for him to be able to be successful. You want him to be successful. Well, these are things that you can improve on support-wise that can really move this program forward. And one of those examples for me was a safety software program. They went into how we documented trainings, all these different avenues, and they felt that it was inadequate. They put it in kinder words than that, but they helped them to see. And now I have a great program that has documentation, has online training. It is just wonderful. And I don't know if I would have gotten that if I hadn't done this peer review. So I'm very grateful for that.
All right, so it's helped you get funding. That is so important when you're trying to do a successful safety program. All right, well, a major part of this was interviews in the office, but our office interviewers aren't here. I know Matt did some office interviews, Cheryl did some office interviews, TJ did some office interviews, but let's focus on the folks that are here, which were the job site visits. A lot of you guys, and this is what I enjoy, is getting out going to see job sites, seeing what people are doing, what they're building, how they're building it, how these parts and pieces are going together. So first of all, for the companies that were reviewed, how did you select the job site? You say, okay, I'm going to have these peer safety review teams come out. How did you pick which ones they're going to go to? And this is open for Pete, Rick, Sabrina, or Jared, and Fabio. Sorry, I'm reading the names off the screen. And Rick pointed at Fabio, so I guess that's a cue for you.
Yeah, right. So the way we did it was that we told all the Foreman A, we had this upcoming walk, so kind of just elevated everybody. So what we decided was that we wanted a little bit of different job sites, right? We did a high rise, we did a TI, and a core and shell, and we wanted to see different perspectives on how we run each job site and kind of see how safety professionals see some blind spots that we, me as a safety professional, I might not have seen. So having a different perspective for each job site was amazing. So that's how we came to picking those 3 jobs.
All right.
We kind of did the same thing as well. We spoke to our superintendents and kind of got their feedback on what they thought would be the best projects to visit. We also wanted one that was kind of a high risk project. That way, it's what we see, but getting everyone else's safety eyes out there and seeing things that we don't necessarily see ourselves. So that's kind of how we picked.
I think
you described it as a high risk job site. Explain what you meant for that.
We have a lot of employees out there. There's multiple trades. We took you guys, I think it was one of our largest projects in Southern California at the time. So just getting more eyes out to that particular project was I think valuable for us.
I was just going to say, yeah, we wanted them to see a variety. If you volunteer for this, make sure they see every aspect of your company as far as job sites, residential, commercial, high rise, whatever it is, hospital work. You get a real bird's eye view. You get a real expert opinion when they look at every different job site that you take them to, and you want to know where your weaknesses are and your strengths. You want to know what you want to continue to do, but you also want them to help you to see how you can improve. So yeah, let them see a variety. If you have a variety, let them see it.
And
that
that's
wasn't
Go ahead, Matt. Go ahead, Adam.
That was interesting. Something Ed did with Raymond was, he didn't just look at, what's going to benefit the committee, looking at his company, and he wanted to benefit his staff as well. He picked a younger team that was, newer in that role, and he wanted to get them exposed to this. You could really choose where you want to have the review done, and he made some careful considerations on that benefited him.
All right, Pete, your turn.
So the way we decided to do ours is we also picked a job site where we're having high risk. Along with our skill set frame, we were also doing a panel installation, which entailed us working on the side of the building with panels being hoisted off trailers via a tower crane. So we felt that was one that we needed to have more boots on the ground or eyes from the committee to come on site and walk it and help me look at the things that I was missing, which were some of the stuff that the guys that came on really pointed out a lot of stuff that I didn't see. I mean, so it was really beneficial for us. And once we finished that commercial site, we actually stopped by on the residential site. So we got a view from both a commercial panel set and our residential area, which was really beneficial for us.
So that was kind of how were the job sites selected. For those of you that went out to the job sites, what are some things that you looked for? Because as you're going out there, I know some people actually prepared a list of questions or list of things to observe, and then some of the things you saw or learned, and also some of the feedback that you gave us as AWCI staff about how we're running the peer safety reviews. So that's kind of open to everybody, but I'm going to start off with George because you gave us some good feedback.
Thank you, Don. I think one of the things that we look for when we go up there and look at, to the point that Jared made, is this is the time that you can benefit for taking the group to those jobs that you feel there's a lot of stuff that I've been struggling to get some support in regard to safety. And if you focus only on the positive ones, well, you don't get the input from those that can help you out with the struggle. Example, we look for gaps to answer your question. That is there a gap between the field and the office? Meaning the office have this perception that, yeah, we give everybody safety awards, we give toolbox talks, we give all this training, and we're doing great. And then when we go to the field, you get to interview the employee, and then you find out where as a company, where they lay out. If it's the same connection there, or there's a gap, right? Reality versus perception. Is it what you think you're doing reflected in the field? And that's a good way to know if you're being effective with your message, with your program, with your training, with your incentive program, and things of that nature. So that usually helps a company to understand what they need to do if they want to make sure everything is across the board, not in just some jobs or just some areas or departments.
All right, very good. Others? Basically, when you do go out and visit the job sites, what are some of the things that you see and or are looking for?
That's really where you see, kind of to George's point, is the message from the office getting to the field, and is the field cooperating, performing the way the office thinks it is? Because really, we can have the best policies, the shiniest, offices, and man, we have just dotted our I's and crossed our T's. But are our employees understanding how important they are to us, and that these are all ways that we want them to go about their job and go home to their families safe? And when we go out there and we can see possibly someone not following what we're being told, that company, how they want them to go about a task, for instance, then that gives us also a chance to meet with them and kind of ask them why they're choosing to do things a certain way, what the mindset is, how they feel the office, and then we can give that feedback to the safety team and to the executives, so that way they can improve that. So for me, is the field actually getting the message, and are they putting it into action?
Now, I've heard several people talk about the safety culture, and for folks that have been involved in safety in any length of time, they understand what we mean when we talk about safety culture. But understanding it and talking about it is so much different than the difficulty of having it permeate the company. And with respect to the safety culture at the companies that you interacted with on these peer safety reviews, what are some takeaways or some things you saw? Because we saw some really good safety cultures. What are some things that you think you might have learned from seeing what was going on, how that safety culture was able to permeate the company? What are some things that you think helped? And the thing that I saw was the engagement from leadership, from the president, from the top down. Does anybody want to comment on that or speak about that, George?
I can add really quick. If I have to make it small, just in a few words, I'll say the employee buy-in. You can tell they believe the company is enforcing a safety program versus just a safety manager. They believe everyone believes on their employees. And the second thing is pride. You get employee retention. You get employees that wants to bring their family and join the business, which is one of the struggles we all face, finding quality talent, people that can stay with your company and be with the company. Keeping the employees retention, and retention of employees and employee buy-in. I think those are big things that I've seen when we walked at a benefit of this peer review.
Others?
When we did the South Valley Drywall review, one thing that I noticed was their culture was really strong. Their owner, he personally writes, I think, birthday cards or anniversary cards to each employee. So I just thought that was a really neat thing. I know it's a smaller company, but just that personal touch from the top down.
No, and as far as like George says, you know, the bringing your family in, I seen that with Raymond. Majority of the sites that we walked, there was a combination of father son, or family member within the Raymond group. It's like, wow, it speaks highly. I mean, and right now with the labor force, trying to find those individuals that are going to be taught the trade from the youngest age and to work through their whole entire life in this field, it speaks highly of that companies. Like, you know, if the father's working there and they're doing their commitment to bring their son in, so it speaks highly of the companies. Like, man, you know, you've worked here for so long, now you bring your son in, so it must be a really good company to actually set roots, you know, and grow within the company, and that speaks highly. And it starts from the top. And I seen that when we sat down and Travis was in there and he gave us his speech, his talk, and he talked from the heart, and that means a lot. It goes a long ways.
Others? All right. So one thing I want to make sure that we're 36 minutes into the webinar. I just want to make sure that our audience realizes that at any moment, anytime they can type in questions. We're going to move to a question and answer session in a few minutes, but I just want to give these guys a little bit of time to answer some of the prepared questions that we had. And one of the things that I want to ask people is, when you're going into peer safety review, you've got certain expectations, certain preconceived notions, and how did experiencing the review change those preconceived notions? And I'll start with Adam, because you had never been involved or experienced the peer safety review. I think maybe Cheryl had told you a little bit about it, but you'd never seen one. And when you finally did show up, how was it different than what you expected going in?
Well, I first found out about this these webinars from last. I recognized a couple names and then made a couple phone calls and joined it. So, you know, I just want to say it was a very humbling experience, because I was pretty cocky, thinking we were, you know, our safety record was fantastic, and you know, there was a lot of areas to improve on. So,
Nice. Others?
what's that? Sorry.
No, do other people have comments that how are your preconceived notions changed when you first showed up at one of these things?
Well, it felt like it was going to be it was intimidating when I first, especially again as the guinea pig, the first one. But again, you quickly set into the teams and what, you know, they explain what we're trying to accomplish. They put me at ease right away. And yeah, there's some uncomfortable you know, times where you're trying to explain a process that you know is not working really well, and you're telling your peers about that process. But it's super positive, and you know, you think, oh man, they're just gonna you know, come in here and you know, make a mess, and we don't. They don't. You leave with real tangible suggestions that if you apply, you know, your safety program and culture will be much better.
Nice. All right, I'm going to ask a question, and I want to see if I can get an answer from everybody. So it can be a short answer, but relatively simple question. For someone listening to this webinar who's never been involved with a peer safety review, what advice do you have from them? So I'm going to start with Fabio and Rick, and move from there.
So what I was saying was that just embrace the process, right? Just have open arms with this. Just take a step back, listen to, you know, the advice that they have. It's very welcoming. No one's here to, you know, talk down to you or say, oh, I got you, you're doing it bad. No, it's just this is where you're at, and here's how to elevate it. Here's some key stuff to take your program to the next level. You know, so it's a great process. I highly recommend it.
And I'll just piggyback something Fabio mentioned to me when it was after you guys, the peer review had left, is he used to think he was out on an island, you know, kind of going through this by himself, and he realized that, you know, he's on a big island with everybody, and he got to hear other stories and at the lunch and stuff of, you know, war stories, and he's like, that's exactly what's happening. You know, that's how I felt, and so it made him feel, you know, better about what he's doing. So it's definitely worth doing this review.
Yeah, and you know, and then having the network of people. If you have a question, a concern, you can always reach out to, you know, other safety professionals, because we all go through the same stuff, right? It's not just my problem. We've all encountered it, so it's definitely a plus.
All right, and I put everybody's picture on the screen so I can go from left to right. So we've heard from Rick, we've heard from Fabio. So Sabrina, how would you answer that question for someone listening to this webinar who's never been involved in a peer safety review? What advice do you have for them?
I'll just piggyback off of Fabio and Rick, is that, yeah, the network you get from participating in a peer safety review. I can reach out to any one of these individuals and you know, hey, I have a problem with this, or how do you guys do this? And just knowing that I'm going to get true, honest feedback is great. Also, one of the lessons learned for us was, I guess as a whole for the safety review, was providing all of the documents prior to the team, so that way when they're actually at your facility, they can engage with you for the 2 to 3 days that they're there, and have open discussions, kind of get to know you, the team, as opposed to just sitting there and reading your policies, which isn't always the funnest.
And we're going to talk about that in a little bit, about some of the upfront preparation for this, but I'm going to let Jared, George, Pete, and Adam respond to that same question before we go there. So Jared?
Yeah, I would say that reality is safety is only going to increase as far as our regulations, compliance levels. I mean, our industry, you know, it's competitive. And the last thing you want to do is lose a job because you're not safe enough to be on that job, or your company has a bad reputation. And so I would, you know, one of the best ways to really get, again, who you really are and how are you performing is this peer review, and it sets you up for success. And that's one way I would encourage others, executives, to support this, because you really, again, it's a competitive advantage when you can demonstrate and prove that you are a real safety, you have a real safety culture, and you put that first. That's exactly how you continue to receive business, awarded jobs. It's only going to get more competitive, and we're never going to go backwards. There's always going to be more rules coming. So this is a great way to jumpstart that and be able to put that on the front of your website or whatever else. You are indeed a safe, safety first company.
Nice.
Thank
George?
you. I will say, you know, as far as not being alone, just like Rick mentioned and Fabio, but also that safety people are not the police. You know, we're there because we care for the company, but it's not just a one person's job, whether you're female or male or whatever. It is a joint group. It is everybody in the company taking ownership of your program. I think that's the most important thing to know, that if you want to succeed, you can't just rely on having one person doing the safety compliance stuff. You're going to rely on everyone's leadership and talent to make a great culture at your company. So that's takeaway from me.
Nice. Excellent. All right, Pete?
It goes back to what the guys said. I mean, well, you have to welcome it. Network building, the building that connection with different members from across the nation. I mean, everybody's got so much talent that if you don't open yourself up to the committee, you're missing out on a lot. I mean, these guys have been nothing but professionals, and our bottom goal is safety. safety for all of our employees. That is the same common goal that we all share, is making sure that these guys go home safe every night. And again, you got to take advantage of it, because yeah, we can't be a one-man team here. We need to take advantage of our employees and have them become an extension of us, of the safety department, to get the word out and make sure that we all stay safe.
Adam?
I'm not going to repeat what you guys said. You all nailed it. You know.
All right,
Some of the things you get is on accident. You weren't looking for that. You see a good best practice. That's a really smart way to use that chop saw or whatever it is. Just little things you can take back and just make your company better. But yeah, we made a lot of friends too. The networking thing is usually beneficial. Things you don't, something pops in your mind. I reached out to George yesterday and asked some questions. So the networking is hugely beneficial.
Yeah.
If I may add really quick, is I know there's some companies here that are probably starting, maybe they don't have quite a structure, either a safety program or a safety professional. Don't let that be a holdup for you. If one of you that plays this role sometimes in your business would like to join this group and learn, it's a great opportunity, because tomorrow you might hire your next safety manager or the next safety person, and who better than an executive or somebody that is running their company to benefit from this. And that way you have at least some guidelines of when you recruit the next safety person or open a role for your company, you have a network connection where you can send this person. So I would say that will be a good benefit for you. Consider that as a tip.
All right. So one thing I want to close out with is, first of all, we've developed through the Safety Directors Committee a group of guidelines. So we were when we started this thing off, we didn't have anything. There was an OSHA document that the group used, but that is developed into a set of guidelines. So that's out there. If anyone is an AWCI member company and you're considering having a peer safety review, please reach out to me, email me at allen@awci.org, and I can send you a draft copy of those guidelines. But the question for the panel here, if, let's say I'm watching this video, I've got a small drywall company, would participating in a peer safety review be appropriate for my company? And I know some of you have, okay. And I guess we've kind of covered those reasons, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I personally feel like it doesn't matter the size of your company. This is very beneficial, right? I recommend it. I can't recommend it anymore, I would jump on it if you guys haven't done it yet.
So and from the aspect of AWCI, we try to have 2 of these a year. We're finally getting into a rhythm of that. We have one, usually we schedule one in the spring and one in the fall. The one for this coming spring is already set up. It's going to be in Ohio at OCP in Cleveland. We have not set the actual date yet because there's going to be some coordination. The one in the fall, we already have a company. We just have not gotten the location yet, but somebody that has been involved and had reviewers. And we're always looking for people to participate in peer safety reviews. Unfortunately, AWCI does not pay for travel. You pay yourself. Your company pays for you and brings you out there. So that's part of the pitch you have to give to your supervisor, your boss, your owner. But there's a couple of good things that I think that many of you watching have heard here today about why this is worthwhile. Why is it good? In talking to Matt Taylor, he brought another one of his safety professionals with him. He said, yeah, not only that, I bring other people to help train them by having them on peer safety reviews. So that's a good thing. So anything that I haven't asked panelists that you think I should have, or that you want to shout out and say now to make sure our audience picks up before we go to the audience questions? All right. Well, maybe I've done a good job. I know I had other questions on the list, but I think we've hit the appropriate ones. And so what we will do then is go to Tao. And has anybody typed any questions into the chat that are for our panelists?
Someone asked if you can just identify what are some guides in the Peer Safety Review Guidebook. What are some items that are on there?
I guess that might be a question for me because I'm the one that put it together. But first of all, it introduces what a peer safety review is. It tries to allay the fears. It's not an inspection. It's not an audit. It's something that people go and you have this networking experience that we've just talked about. It includes lists of what are some of the things that you have to prepare in advance. As Sabrina mentioned a little while ago, that you go ahead and send out some of your safety records, your onboarding information, how you do certain things, and share that with the team so that they can evaluate it and they can come back and tell you what's good and what might need some changes in it. It gives listings of what you expect. The first day is typically a meeting that starts in the conference room. We move from there to maybe touring the warehouse and the shop areas, move from there to the second day where there's typically job site visits. We break it up into job site visit teams as well as in-office inspection teams. Some of the questions that are asked, for example, the people that are interviewing, maybe the estimators or the HR professionals, what are some of the questions they would ask? And then on the last day, the third day, is the presentation, how that is usually structured. But again, the guidelines are trying to be flexible so that if you've got a specific way that you want to do it for your peer safety review, there's still some flexibility in it. So others, does that sound like it covers everything?
If I may add, Don, I think one thing we need to make it clear is that whatever notes, whatever discussions, whatever discoveries we find while we're visiting the company, we don't take none of that with us. We do sign an NDA too. So you can feel safe that even there's sometimes discussions about things, you know, as struggles that you would like some help and advice, we leave everything behind. So none of us take any information, just we leave everything behind. That way you feel safe about the inspection. It was done, it was at your doors, at your business, and it remains there. And it's up to you to testify or kind of share your experience.
Very good, very good.
Next question, how much does it cost for someone to come review your company? Let's say they want to host the safety committee.
The cost of lunch. That's about it.
Yeah.
But it's well worth it.
Yeah, the folks at J&J were nice enough to have bagels and donuts, and I think even some I don't know, some other breakfast foods for us, and they took us all out to lunch. So that was it. Yeah, so that was good. I know the folks at Raymond had actually an activity. They took us to a bar and we had snacks, and they even had safe axe throwing. So we had to sign a little release on that. But interesting having that part of a safety get together. So it's as much as or as little as you want it to be. Most of it's going to be the time for your staff, right? I mean, if you're going to have your executives and your safety team in a room for a couple hours, you add up the man hours that are involved in that. That's the biggest expense, is the time.
And it's worth it. We actually have a field safety committee. Those get forming in, and so that they can be a part of it, and they got a lot of value out of it. And so, you know, whatever you spend, it's definitely worth it.
And if you're sending a member of your company to participate in one of these, obviously you cover their meals and their travel. But think about, you know, it is a sort of like a workshop experience. They get to connect with the network, learn from others, experience what other programs are like. So it's a win-win situation in both directions.
Yes, I think you touched base on that, but just again, how do you get on the review board?
I'll start that and say you send an email to me, Alan at awci.org, and I'll actually put that slide up here with my email is over in the lower left under award questions, and say, hey, I want to get involved in this, and it's best to be involved in the safety directors committee. And again, our next meeting is going to be at Build. You don't necessarily have to come to that one, but as if you're willing to go out there, that somebody in your company is willing to have you come out, then we're all for having people engaged. I think there may be one slot potentially left on the team that is going out to to OCP in Cleveland in this spring, and we have not set the team to go out in the fall or in 2025. So they're still open. Any other comments to that? Was my answer sufficient? Okay, I see Rick nodding.
Yeah, and just want to say all are welcome.
I mean, you saw from this group here, right? There's a bunch of people there. Now, granted, several of the people in the picture are from the team being reviewed at South Valley Drywall, but no, most of those folks are the peer safety review team. So everybody's welcome. All right. Any final thoughts from our panelists here? All right. Well, as the safety representative.
I have one thing, Don.
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead. Yeah.
I just want to say that also you do a fine job of keeping us organized, who's doing what. So they'll benefit a lot from all that you put into this and staff. So thank you very much for all that you do and everyone at the AWCI. Very much appreciated.
Thank you.
I second that.
There's a team of support here at AWCI behind me. So thank you. All right. And I appreciate that. All right. And obviously I couldn't do it without you guys. So no, it's great. I'm really not trained in safety. My background is a structural engineer coming from the steel side. So I've learned a lot in my time here and I expect to learn a lot more. So with that, I just want to invite everybody to Build 24. As a reminder, the Safety Directors Committee meeting is going to be on March 25th from 9 to 10 a.m. And the location, the actual room is to be announced, but it's at the Swan and Dolphin Hotel. And on that same day from 6:30 to 9:30 p.m. is the awards dinner. And that's when we'll be giving out the awards. And if you want to be one of the award winners, the safety award entry information is now on the lower left of your screen. There's a how-to video and the entry form. If you have any problems with either one of those, you can email me down at the bottom left, Alan@awci.org, or Laura Porinchak, Porinchak@awci.org. And she will help you through it. I was talking to Pete before this presentation. He was just talking to Laura yesterday, and she helped him through some of the things on the form that he was working with. Also on the right, there are 3 articles already in Construction Dimensions. So if you want to look at those articles, there's one in the December 2019 issue, one in April, and one in August of last year. So some of the lessons learned that have been talked about today are delved into in a little bit more detail in those 3 articles. So this has been a good experience for me. Hopefully everybody else has enjoyed it. If you want to get engaged or learn more about AWCI and the services that we provide to the industry, go to awci.org. We just updated our website, but if you see any issues or anything missing, please let me or Laura know. Thanks, everyone. Thank you to our panelists. Thank you to Tao. Everyone have a great day.